Hello folks, today we're going to show you how to make deer jerky the old-fashioned style. Some people like to do it, grind the deer meat up, put it through a shooter onto a dehydrator. Nothing wrong with that at all. Problem I find is when I eat it just like that, I can eat a whole bag in about 3 minutes, and it takes a long time to make, and in my opinion I like to chew on it a little bit. I like for it to last a little longer. I like it the old-fashioned style. So the way that we do that is we cut it straight off the bone. You know, a lot of people will use just scrap pieces of meat, and that is fine. Myself, I like to do it in bigger chunks. Like when I know I've got lots of deer meat already, steaks packed up in the freezer, what I'll do is some of the bigger chunks I will freeze those. And when I get ready to make deer jerky, as I begin to thaw it out, when it's still about half frozen, like I'll lay it in a sink for probably a couple hours without water on it before I go to bed at night, and I'm off the next day. I'll put it, you know, these bags in the refrigerator. When I get up the next morning, it's still partially frozen. Cut it out of the package, and then you can cut it when it's partially frozen, so you can get in those thin slices that you would get through a shooter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you over here and I'm going to show you exactly how we do this. So hopefully we can make it easier for some of you folks that have never done it. Alright folks, as you can see here, I've already got started. The knife I'm using is a Rapala knife, my favorite. Rapala, however you want to pronounce it. Depends on where you're from, I guess. I also have an Outdoor Edge knife set here. It's a really good set to have on the go for sure. I've got an extra one here with a sharpener, so just so I can keep cutting as fast as I want to. As you can see here, this doesn't look partially frozen, but it is. And I have started here with some thin slices. They're about 1/4 inch thick. You can go a little less if you want. If you go more than that, it tends to take longer to cook. I use a dehydrator sometimes, but when I do it this way, I generally use the oven. I like it better. You can do it however you like. Today we're going to show you how to do it in the oven. But as you can see here, you see some of these white fascia pieces here. You can cut those out if you'd like, and we can do that. As you can see, with a filleting knife, you can get really thin anyway. But when it's half frozen, partially frozen, you can do that even better. And I will cut it in, you know, you can make these in big slices like I've got here in the bowl. I've got a few like this. You can do it that way, however you like to do it. This one just happens to be this chunk of meat. It's going to give me some smaller pieces, about 1/4 inch thick. We're going to cut. So you can see they come out really nice. The meat doesn't give like it would if it was thawed out, and you can get some good cuts. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and finish up this one, and then I'll get back with you on some bigger pieces. Okay, as you can see, someone that packaged this, a lot of times my father-in-law will help me. He packaged these into, it looks like thigh meat or back ham meat off the deer. You can tell by how the variations of the muscle fibers are. He cut these up into different sizes of steaks. That one's actually pretty thin. Some of them are a little bit thicker. And so what we're going to do, this is when it really even more benefits you to be partially frozen. You can see some of the ice chips here. So what we do with that is the best way to cut that, if you get in that situation, is you're just going to kind of judge, depending on how thick it is. I'm probably just going to cut this one once, so I want to go about halfway down. See, if you notice it's thinner on one side and thin on this side, kind of like a football, I guess you'd say, thicker here. So we're going to go about halfway down of the middle and hold it flat about here. And if you hold these filet knives, if they're good and sharp, you're going to go underneath my hand, see. I'm just going to saw through it like so. And that's about what we're looking for. That's pretty close as well. And then we're going to cut in strips. Just like that. And we're going to go through here on these pieces and do these the same exact way. Okay, as you can see here, this one's a little bit thicker. And so what we're going to do is we're going to cut a level off the top, and then we're going to go down halfway, just like this. Just trying to guesstimate about a 1/4 inch below the surface, like so. This one is going to be a little bit thinner probably, but these fillet knives will really do the job for you. You just got to kind of practice with them. And that just actually cut off a really, really thin piece. You can keep that if you want. It's going to end up getting pretty crackery. I'm going to throw that one, and we'll keep this one. It's about a 1/4 inch thick, just like that. Moving on. Okay, as you can see, it's going to make probably about 3 pounds is what I like to do at a time. You can do as much as you want, kind of depends on how many skewers you have to put in the oven or whatever. But as you can see, this size bowl, it's usually around 3 pounds. You can get a scale, you can do whatever you want to do, but this is, I just guesstimate it. I've got all my jerky in a bowl right here. What I'm about to do is get my marinade and everything together. This is just going to give you a baseline. What you're going to see here is just basic stuff that you see from a lot of folks that make jerky. You can use soy sauce here. You can use Worcestershire, liquid smoke. A lot of people use Dale's marinade, D-A-L-E-S. It's a really good one also. I like to add some seasonings such as the Cajun style from McCormick's. I also like to put some meat tenderizer in there. Most jerky makers are going to tell you you need to cure your meat, and this is true, especially if you keep it room temperature for more than a week or more. Myself, when I make up a whole lot of jerky, what I'll do is I'll package up small packages and freeze them and vacuum seal them. So I don't cure mine because it just takes longer, because by the time I usually think I want some jerky, I'll thaw it out and get started on it right away, and I usually don't cure mine. So a lot of people won't recommend that, but I've always loved mine and never had a problem with it. So if you don't want to cure it, you don't have to. This is some jerky cure here. If you can see this website here, this is a website that has seasonings and things, Open Country Campware. You can order lots of things from them, from cures to different seasonings such as these. We got some mesquite, smoke, we got Cajun, we've got cracked pepper and garlic, and hot and spicy. You can mix some of these together. Each package it calls for 1 pound of meat. I've got 3 pounds. We're going to add just a little mixture here of a few things. My favorite is the Cajun, and sometimes I will mix it with a little bit of hot and spicy and a little bit of mesquite. But you can do whatever you want. I'm going to add the meat tenderizer to it as well, and the Cajun seasoning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these in portions for you here in just a second and show you how much to put in a bag to marinate them and how long. Something I want to recommend real quick, as I was taking the meat out, now I've decided I want to do 3 different batches on 3 different seasonings. I was taking some of the meat off the top. Obviously before I packaged this and froze this meat, I washed it really well. So you can wash it again, up to you, but as I was taking the meat off the top here, as I was getting toward the bottom, there was a lot of the blood settling in the bottom of the bowl. So you want to make sure that when you get halfway through the bowl, for sure, what you want to do is put the rest of it in a strainer and stir it around for about 5 minutes and let all that blood drain off, and then wash your sink real well, obviously. So you don't have to put any milk on it or anything like that, or salt water necessarily to get more of the blood out. It's strictly up to you. You can if you want, but it's not going to really affect the taste a whole lot because the marinade kind of overpowers it. So anyway, we're fixing to go ahead and let this drain off, and I'm going to get some marinade started. Alright, we're gonna get this done. Get it marinating. I've got 3 equal portions here, pretty close I'd say, and then we're going to put those in the baggie right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and label each one of these, because I'm going to do a hot and spicy, I'm going to do a mesquite smoke, and a Cajun. And I'm going to label these bags with a marker, so when I take them out of the marinade, I know which ones have what seasoning on them. There's the hot, Cajun, and we're going to do the mesquite. Okay, I'm going to put this meat in each baggie first. I like to put them in gallon-sized baggies myself. You can do it whichever way you want. The reason I like to do it in baggies is because when I put it in the refrigerator while it's marinating, not only is it easier to turn over and massage to get it to all these seasonings and marinade to touch all the meat, I can go in there and do that, and I can flip it over easily, turn it upside down. That's why I like to use gallon-sized Ziploc bags. Last one. Pretty equal. Alright. Now, wash my hands. Make sure your bags aren't leaking. Shouldn't be for new bags, but you never know. Okay. We're going to add the fluids first, the soy sauce, the Worcestershire, and the liquid smoke. I like to do about a cup. Soy sauce, by the way, Ordale's marinade has a really high sodium value, you'll see. Salt, which is kind of a cure in itself, so that kind of helps the fact if you use something like that. If you decide not to use the cure, pick these up. Good. I'm going to use 2/3 a cup for each bag since it's just 1 pound a piece. See that? Yes, I do have more. Goodness. Lots of soy sauce in here for some reason. Short on the Worcestershire, so probably going to be short anyway. We'll see. More soy. 2/3. Okay. All right. Let's do a half of the Worcestershire. Half a cup. So we're going to add hickory smoke as well. I like to add hickory smoke just because it gives it a little more of that smoky flavor. Worcestershire somewhat does, but you can tell by smelling that the hickory smoke gives it a lot more of a smoky flavor, and I love that flavor. Perfect. Half a cup for each one. Good thing I don't have any more bottles of that. Alright. I'm not going to measure on the hickory smoke. Hickory smoke is pretty stout. I'm going to use just a couple of, I am going to take the lid off. Got to shake this up really well. It's called Liquid Smoke by Collagen. It's the hickory, natural hickory flavor. You'll notice here, I'm just going to do a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, just about 2 quick seconds, or 1,001 second, I guess. That's going to give you about 3/4 of the bottle gone. If you're wondering how much I put in there. There. Now, we don't have to mix it just yet necessarily, but as you can see, the marinade comes almost to the top, which is exactly what you want. If not, you could add a little bit of water, but I don't think you'll have to because you're going to be turning it over the next hour. Next, we're going to add the seasonings. This one is the Cajun. So I'm going to put all of that right on top. Make sure it's all out of the package. Get the full amount. Next, mesquite smoked jerky. I'm anxious to try these. I haven't tried these individually yet, so can't wait to do this. Another thing you can do, I've seen this done as well. You can use these. Let me get these. For all you pizza lovers and spicy eaters, you can use the crushed red pepper if you want a little bit. A lot of times I will wait and add a little bit of that afterwards. After I've already marinated it, I'm getting it laid out and ready to put on a skewer. I might add a little bit of this crushed red pepper later. So strictly up to you. It's really good. Now, on the Cajun perfect pinch, you can just kind of guesstimate here. There we go. Equal amounts for the most part. That was a full bottle. It's about 3/4 full still, so let you know about how much I put in there. And about 1/4 of a bottle altogether of the meat tenderizer. Okay. Some more of that as well. So now I've got everything. I've got the soy sauce, I've got the Worcestershire, I've got the hickory smoke, all the individual seasonings, and then the Cajun perfect pinch with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal these up. I'm going to leave some air in the bag, and we're going to start shaking. Shake, shake, shake. I would massage and shake each bag. When I say massage, I mean you want to let, I'm going to let a little bit of air out of this one because I want to be able to get a hold of that meat with my hands and actually separate some of those pieces that tend to stick together when they're wet. Because I want to get a good coating of seasoning equally and marinade throughout. I'm going to do this about every 15 to 20 minutes over the next hour as it marinates. But when you use soy sauce, I can promise you, Ordale's, you don't want to go longer than an hour because it's going to be spout. If you do want to go longer, which is fine, you want to add some water and dilute it down. So you're going to be out of the house doing something, running some errands. You want to add some water. You want to let it marinate for 10 or 12 hours sometimes. Sometimes 24 hours. Depends on what you use in marinade. So a little bit more air out of there. Alright, as you can see, I got the marinade off of it by draining it. I put these paper towels on here and I labeled them so I didn't get them mixed up. It was just my preference, just so it's not dripping a lot when you put it in the oven. I used skewers and put them in the oven. Got a temperature gauge here. It's one that you actually use in like cooking oil for fish, but it works. As you can see, if I get the angle right, let me see if I can get the angle right here where you can see it. Right there. It's about 140 to 145 degrees. That's what you want to keep it. And with my oven in particular, what I did was, the way I put this in here, on the back side of the rack is one, over to the right is another spice, and the front is the other spice. My skewers I actually had run out, so I'm using the rest of it with dehydrator. That was all that I had left and didn't have skewers for it, so put them on there flat, turn your dehydrator on. Usually it's going to go for a full, there's usually about 5 or 6 racks, and usually it takes about 4 to 6 hours to get them dehydrated, but when you get down to 1 or 2 trays, they go pretty quick. If they're thin pieces, these have been on for about an hour, and I'd say within the hour they'll be completely done. But as you get the last hour, hour and a half, you have to check your thinner pieces as well as this to, you just kind of be your own judge if you think they're done by feeling of the thickness of them, if they still feel like they're pretty moist on the inside, or if they're getting pretty tough, like a piece of cooked meat that you grill. That's how you know if it's done. So we're going to wait a little while on this and start checking them. Should be done by 6 o'clock. But that's how it's done. You gotta put that in the bottom for the drippings. First they drip, and then and don't drip anymore. So with my oven in particular, it only gets up to 100, goes down to 170. You want to cook it about 145 to 150. I think 140 to 45 actually. So I have to actually stick something, a wooden spoon in there to keep it open, to try to keep it at the right temperature. Let's see what we're running now. I just now open it up. It cools off really quick when you open it, so looks like we're at about 130 right now. It'll come back up. Just close it down a little bit for a minute and let it heat back up. That's how it's done.